The Japanese wolf. The Japanese wolf was a small species of wolf that once lived in Japan until it was declared extinct in 1905. Since ancient times, people revered it as a guardian spirit of the mountains and forests, as well as a friend who protected their crops from wild animals such as boars. Some villages even preserved skulls or charms made from wolves to safeguard their homes. Tragically, this species endured a severe outbreak of rabies, which turned many individuals into a danger to humans. The government of the time sought to eradicate them, and citizens were paid to hunt wolves. At the same time, deforestation destroyed their habitat, making survival increasingly difficult. Yet, hope never fully vanished. Even after the last wolf was killed in 1905, reports of sightings continued to emerge. Some accounts were accompanied by photographs or audio recordings. One of the most famous cases occurred in 1996, when a man named Hiroshi Yagi photographed a wolf-like animal in the mountains. He later set up automatic camera traps and, in 2018, managed to record howls that experts judged to be strikingly similar to the pack calls of real wolves. There have also been reports of dog-like creatures that did not match any known species. While some scientists suggest these may be feral dogs or unidentified animals, others believe they could be the surviving Japanese wolf. The forests where they once roamed have changed drastically, and to this day no conclusive evidence, not if, such as DNA or clear photographs, are surfaced. The chances of rediscovery are slim, though perhaps not impossible. The ground sloth. Ground sloths were massive, slow-moving mammals that once ranged across the Americas, including what is now the United States. They disappeared roughly 11,000 years ago, but their memory still lingers in fascinating stories. One of the most compelling is the mapinguari, a legendary creature in Brazilian folklore that is said to dwell deep in the Amazon rainforest. The mapinguari is often described as a huge, shaggy beast that guards the forest and its animals. Many theories have been proposed about the origin of this legend, but the most intriguing suggests that it may have been inspired by the giant ground sloth itself. Some species of ground sloths even had thick skin reinforced with small bony plates, resembling natural armor, remarkably similar to the bulletproof body described in tales of the mapinguari. Well into the 20th century, reports of sightings persisted, especially in the states of Amazonas, Pará, and Acre. Some even claim to have witnessed a mapinguari devour a human. Yet no verified scientific evidence has ever been produced. The truth may be more complex. These reports could point to surviving ground sloths, or they could simply be legends carried down from the time when such animals still existed. For now, the mystery remains unsolved. The Carolina parakeet. The Carolina parakeet was the only native parrot of the eastern United States, and today it is extinct. The last known individual, named Incas, died in captivity at the Cincinnati Zoo on February 21, 1918, in the very same enclosure that had once confined Martha, NEY, the last passenger pigeon. The species was officially declared extinct in 1939. Still, a few unconfirmed reports surfaced, including a film shot in Georgia in 1937 that appeared to show a flock of parakeets, and another sighting in South Carolina in 1938. None, however, could be authenticated. Most of what we know about the Carolina parakeet comes from oral accounts and preserved specimens, as no detailed scientific studies were conducted while it was still alive. Its decline was swift after European settlement, particularly as forests of the eastern and southern United States were felled. Its flocking behavior worsened the situation. When a few birds were shot, others in the flock would return to their fallen companions, allowing hunters to kill entire groups with ease. Although mysteries remain, the Carolina parakeet is now considered lost to history, with roughly 720 preserved skins and 16 skeletons housed in museums around the world. The Zanzibar leopard. The Zanzibar leopard was once the largest predator on Unguja Island and played a vital role in the local ecosystem. Yet by the 20th century, conflict between people and leopards had escalated to the point that they were widely despised. Many locals even believed that witches kept leopards to harm others. After the Zanzibar Revolution of 1964, a campaign was launched to eradicate both witchcraft and the leopard population. The last confirmed sighting of a living Zanzibar leopard occurred in the early 1980s, but reports of sightings and livestock attacks have continued, keeping local belief in its survival alive. In 2018, a camera trap on Unguja captured footage believed to show a leopard, renewing hope for the species. Still, some experts question the authenticity of the video. The exact location was never revealed, and without genetic evidence, it remains uncertain whether the animal was truly a Zanzibar leopard or simply a mainland leopard introduced to the island. The eastern cougar. The eastern cougar once roamed widely through the forests of eastern North America, but is now considered extinct. Wildlife agencies across 21 states in the eastern United States agree that the population has vanished. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service reviewed all available evidence and concluded that the animal most likely became extinct in the 1930s, officially removing it from the endangered species list in 2018. Canada has taken a more neutral stance, maintaining that the evidence is inconclusive. Some officials in Ontario have claimed cougars still live there, though most experts insist there is no proof of a stable breeding population. Since the 1960s, thousands of sightings have been reported across rural areas of eastern North America, and numerous private organizations have formed to track possible evidence. In 2011, a cougar struck and killed by a vehicle in Connecticut was confirmed by DNA testing to have originated from the Black Hills of South Dakota, having traveled more than 2,400 kilometers. Experts noted, however, that such long migrations are typically made by young males, and true resettlement would require females to establish breeding groups, SS, something that has never been recorded east of Nebraska. Interest in reintroducing cougars to the Northeast was reignited after a 2016 study suggested that, if successful, they could help control deer populations, prevent thousands of deer-related car accidents, save hundreds of lives, and reduce economic losses by billions of dollars over a 30-year span. The Caribbean monk seal. The Caribbean monk seal is now regarded as extinct, though some still believe remnant populations may survive in remote areas. Once common throughout the Caribbean and denied, including the Bahamas, Cuba, and the Gulf of Mexico, GIM, the species was first recorded during Christopher Columbus's second voyage in 1494, when 8 seals were killed on a beach. By the late 17th century, hunting had become intense, with seals slaughtered for their blubber, which was rendered into lamp oil and used as lubricant on sugarcane plantations. The slaughter continued through the 19th century, with reports of hundreds being killed in a single night. By 1850, their numbers had dwindled to the point that commercial hunting was no longer profitable. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, scientific expeditions occasionally encountered Caribbean monk seals, but typically killed them to supply museum collections. One expedition in 1886, for example, killed 42 individuals in just 4 days. These practices hastened the species' collapse, making sightings exceedingly rare in the 20th century. The last confirmed sighting was in 1952 at Serenilla Bank. The species was placed on the endangered list in 1967, but by then it was almost certainly already gone. The Caribbean monk seal was especially vulnerable because of its docile nature. It showed little fear of humans and did not flee when approached. Today, unconfirmed reports still surface from Haiti and Jamaica, though scientists generally believe these are misidentified hooded seals from the North Atlantic. Even so, some continue to hope that the Caribbean monk seal may not be entirely lost. The great auk. The great auk was a large, flightless seabird that once ranged widely across the North Atlantic. It had been tied to human life for tens of thousands of years, serving as food for both Neanderthals and prehistoric modern humans, and even appearing in ancient cave paintings. When Europeans began to explore the Atlantic, they also hunted the great auk for its meat, oil, and feathers. Because the bird was docile and unable to fly, it was remarkably easy to kill, and hundreds were slaughtered at a time for centuries. By the 16th century, their numbers had already collapsed due to relentless exploitation. Ships would even anchor directly at breeding grounds, herding the birds aboard only to butcher them. Though there were attempts at protection, such as bans on hunting for feathers, these efforts came too late. By 1800, major breeding colonies such as Funk Island had disappeared entirely. The last known individuals were killed in 1844 on LD Island by hunters fulfilling orders for museums. As the species became rarer, collectors clamored for eggs and specimens, driving their value ever higher and fueling more hunting. Today, only 78 skins, 75 eggs, and 24 complete skeletons survive, most housed in museums. No living individual has been recorded since 1844, though there was one unconfirmed sighting in 1852. Other alleged sightings have been reported, but most are believed to have been misidentifications of penguins or similar seabirds. The Tasmanian tiger. The Tasmanian tiger, also known as the thylacine, is officially recognized as extinct, though many continue to believe it survived beyond the last confirmed sightings. Once, thylacines lived across mainland Australia, Tasmania, and New Guinea. On the Australian mainland, they likely disappeared around 3,200 years ago, coinciding with the arrival of the dingo and the rise of human activity. Dingoes may have outcompeted the thylacine for food and territory, hunting in packs, wielding stronger skulls, and adapting more efficiently to available prey. In Tasmania, where dingoes never arrived, the thylacine survived into the 20th century. They were frequently blamed for attacks on livestock, particularly sheep, and were hunted with great intensity. The Tasmanian government even paid bounties for their carcasses between 1888 and 1909, leading to the deaths of at least 2,000 individuals. Despite their dwindling numbers, official protection was not enacted until July of 1936, just 59 days before the last known thylacine died at the Hobart Zoo on September 7th of that year. The animal may have perished after being left outside in harsh weather. Its body was misplaced in storage and forgotten, only to be rediscovered and confirmed in 2022. Though the species was declared extinct in the 1980s, thousands of unverified sightings have been reported, especially in Tasmania and southern Australia. Bounties have even been offered for definitive proof, but none has been produced. In 2022, a large-scale scientific project was launched with the aim of resurrecting the thylacine through genetic engineering, using the fat-tailed dunnart as its closest living relative. While many have expressed skepticism about this de-extinction effort, scientists achieved notable breakthroughs, extracting RNA from a 130-year-old specimen and completing a full genome sequence in 2024. The ivory-billed woodpecker. The ivory-billed woodpecker was listed as endangered in 1967, but in 2021 the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service proposed delisting it and declaring it extinct. After public comment and expert input, including claims that the bird still existed, the agency delayed its decision and continued gathering evidence. This woodpecker once inhabited the old-growth forests of the southeastern United States, but its numbers fell sharply by the late 19th century due to widespread logging and hunting for collections. By the 1920s, many believed it was already gone, though a confirmed sighting came in 1944, just before its last known habitat was destroyed. The only widely accepted film and audio recordings of the ivory-billed woodpecker were made during this period by a research team in Louisiana. Since 1944, additional sightings and recordings have been reported, but most were dismissed as misidentifications of the pileated woodpecker or even the calls of blue jays or ducks. In 2004, researchers in Arkansas announced a controversial video along with audio recordings, sparking debate. Some believed, while others insisted the footage showed nothing more than a pileated woodpecker. More recently, in 2023, the Project Principalis group released drone footage and camera trap images, but most scientists remained unconvinced, citing poor image quality and a high likelihood that other species had been captured instead. Over time, the ivory-billed woodpecker has transformed into a legend among birdwatchers, its status hovering between myth and reality.